glenoid rim fractures. With shoulder dislocations, the Bankard's lesion, as we know, is a detachment of the soft tissue, the labrum and the capsule. When it is associated with a fracture of the anterior rim of the glenoid, it is termed as a bony Bankard's lesion. We need to understand here that a glenoid bone loss in recurrent shoulder dislocation is different than a bony Bankard's lesion. This is how the bony Bankard's lesion would look. So that's the inferior edge, and that shows the bony Bankard's lesion. So this is a patient of mine. It has been classified by Bigliani, Sugaya, and Kim. So we use the Kim's classification. Small is less than 12.5, medium between 12.5 to 25%, and large is more than 25%. So it has to be treated acutely because the percentage of bone resorption is very high and would lead to a recurrent dislocation scenario. A few very important papers to be read for bony Bankard's management. So the treatment, there are three types of managements. One is a plain soft tissue Bankard's, which is done for a small lesion. We have a Sugaya technique and a Snyder technique. That is a transosseous method. For medium size of bony Bankard's lesions, we have the Peter Millett double row technique, which I'm going to demonstrate. The bony Bankard's bridge, it is called. And for large lesions, open method by Scheibel has been recommended. So that's just a demonstration of the Snyder's transosseous method. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? So labral repair is quite easy because we have been doing it. Transosseous is technically easier, but these two methods don't give a rotational stability. A double row repair will give a rotational stability, and it's but on the flip side of it, the implant cost is high, technically slightly demanding. So again, a patient of ours, the same patient, he has a medium kind of a bony Bankard's lesion. 20-year-old guy. So that shows that 17% of bony Bankard's lesion. So this is the technique that we are going to demonstrate, the bony Bankard's breach technique. And in this, basically, we put an anchor on the anterior edge of the neck and a double row technique, and we are using knotless sutures. I'm going to demonstrate that. So we'll come to that when we come to the video. So we start scoping. The scope is in the posterior portal. That's the Hill-Sachs lesion that we are seeing. And we go anteriorly. That's the anterior Bankard's lesion. And you can see a small bony Bankard's lesion. After that, we switch to the anterosuperior viewing portal. There it is. So the anterior, I always put the anterior superior as a viewing portal, and anterior and posterior, antero inferior and posterior as the working portals. Here you see a big labral tear. That's the big labral tear, and that's the bony Bankard's fragment that you can see there. So the first step would be, dissecting the bony bank. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. ये पुढे नाही जाते. पुढे नाही जाते. I wanted to take it forward, just went back. South side. Sorry. Man, so I'm sorry for this because I'm not able to forward the video because of some technical reasons. Sorry for that. So just a small repeat. Posterior viewing portal, we shift onto the anterosuperior portal. So that's the view from the anterosuperior portal. So we come to this. This is the labral tear. That's the bony Bankard's lesion. The most important step here is to, because it is fixed medially, as you see now, to release the fragment from the native glenoid. That's the first and the most important step whenever we have to start doing a repair. For that, we use the tissue elevator, which acts like a periosteum. You see, it is very well demonstrated. See, this is the tissue elevator. It acts like a periosteum, and you go on filling the bony Banker's lesion from the native glenoid. So the release has to be very, very good. Otherwise, you getting a good reduction is not possible. So you have to spend more time here. For beginners, this is a very, very important step. And you go right up to the inferior edge of the bony Banker's lesion. You can see my elevator is just reaching up to that. And you see, this is how you really, mobilize the fragment, right? And that tells you that once you can see the subscapularis muscle fibers down, that tells you that the mobilization of the fragment is almost done. You prepare the bony, the anterior neck of the glenoid is prepared properly, and I'm marking my anchors. So the inferior most anchor will be a simple single loaded anchor. On the neck, I'll put a double loaded anchor. I have slightly modified the technique. And this mark here is for the knotless anchor, which I'm going to put later on. So what is important is to have a good reduction of the soft tissue and the fragment before you start taking bites. I usually take the first bite and then put an anchor. So this is what see, this is a good reduction which I'm achieving. And now I'll take a bite with a suture lasso or the technique. And this bite, I feel, is the most important bite. The first bite going below, we have to go beyond the bony fragment and take a bite in the labrum. I think this it's the most difficult one and the most important one. So, and once the bite is done, then that thing is retrieved. The anchor is put. This is a single loaded. I use bioabsorbable anchors for this. A single loaded. That's the inferior most anchor that has been put, right? Now we come to the most important part of the bony bridge technique, that is putting in this anchor. This anchor is put on the anterior neck. It is technically very demanding. After a few cases, I could manage this. So putting it on the neck and at the on the crater, on the posterior aspect of the crater. So this is a double loaded anchor. In the initial technique, Millet had described it as a single loaded anchor, but we have put a double loaded anchor onto the neck of the glenoid. And getting the trajectory for this is challenging in many cases. Technical demanding is to manage all these sutures out there. And now this, the sutures will be passed beyond the fragment. And then they will be again retrieved. So a few steps I've put in. See, now I've taken this in the first bite of the double loaded anchor. Again, I'm reducing the fragment and I'll be taking it around the bony fragment. So it goes beyond, and this here, what I could pass the suture through the just edge of that bony Banker's lesion. I could just show you in the next few minutes. So I could get kind of a sort of a transition between a double bony bridge and a transosseous. It just went through the inferior edge of that bony Banker's fragment. So this is something kind of a Sugaya technique where you go through the bony Banker's fragment itself. Once it is put, then the threads are exchanged through that. And similarly, all the four sutures are passed in a double row technique. These are mattress sutures. These are mattress sutures. All the four bites have been taken, and now one by one we are going to put them into using a knotless suture.
Abhay, time is running
just
out.
2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Sorry for that. So that's the first double loaded anchor. the first knotless anchor which will come in. So the knotless anchor is put on the face of the glenoid. So that's the difference between a single row and a double row kind of a technique. And this gives it a very good reduction and a good rotational stability. And few things to be noted while putting in this knotless anchor is that it has to have a bony ridge all around, unless you lose the hold of that anchor, right? So you can see there's a bony margin all around that, and I'm putting it into that hole, that trial hole that has been made there. So that's the second knotless anchor that will go in, and I'll just demonstrate the reduction of the fragment in the next few seconds. Yeah, so you could see that's the reduction you get, a very firm reduction, a good reduction, and that's it. So the post-op protocol, I keep it same as any soft tissue Bankard's repair, and I thank you all for a patient hearing. These are a few images from Bhutan. This is a Punaka Zong, the Tiger's Nest Monastery, and thank you all.